The Flash is a student forum for students produced by students. Students make all content decisions, research, write, shoot, and broadcast news stories they deem important to the Eastview community. Stay tuned.
Hey Rain, how's your day going?
It's going pretty good, Logan. How about you?
It's going pretty great, since we're still able to come in and record The Flash.
We have some pretty interesting stories for you guys today.
To start off, Sofia is giving us an inside look on how teens are handling work over COVID.
After that, Godwin sheds light on the racial injustice in the United States.
Then finally, Khaalid introduces a pretty cool student with pretty cool stills on the mic.
Stay tuned for The Flash. Hey Logan, do you have a job?
No, but I can imagine it's been pretty difficult to deal with over COVID.
Well, we have a story that tells us about that. Here's Sofia with the story.
Working during a pandemic can be hard for everybody, especially students. With the schoolwork students are given, it can be hard to make time for work.
Hard because knowing that I have a whole bunch of assignments due, but I'm still at work. My parents don't really like it either, but...
Many managers are taking over shifts students may or may not be able to work due to school. As we go into a new phase of distance learning, I interviewed a few.
More team members are available at different hours of the day, which are very beneficial. So for some needs, we haven't had to hire as much because our team members that usually don't start till 4 or 5 at night after school have been available maybe at 2 in the afternoon or some even dayside moments. So yeah.
We just get their availability. Communication is really key here. We want to make sure that we're all on the same page.
Being at work can be hard, especially having to be careful about who you are around, try not to get sick, but still being able to go to school and get work done. Some students are telling us how they are handling stress in a time of working and learning.
I guess I don't know how I'd say I'm handling it. I'm kind of handling it just as it comes by and just as it is.
It goes up a little bit with the availability right now. It seems like we're getting more open availability with the online classes, but when it does go down and if team members need to try to get more hours, it just means that they need to be just as flexible as we are with their schedules. So,
reporting for The Flash with help from Maddie, this is Sofia.
Even through a pandemic, Eastview teens never stop working.
But COVID-19 hasn't been the only big issue on everyone's minds.
In fact, there's been a lot of tension in this country for the past few months, even so close to home.
There have been many protests and riots that have taken place. Godwin is here to talk to us about the racial injustice happening inside the U.S.
Today we are here in Minneapolis, where on May 25th, 2020, George Floyd was killed under the knee of a Minneapolis police officer.
When George Floyd first died, when the video first came out, that it was kind of shocking at first. I avoided watching the video for a really long time.
George Floyd's death hit hard within the Black community and other communities as well, and people have taken to the streets to fight against systemic racism in this country.
I've always read about everything in history books and watched documentaries with my family about everything. Was educated, but I never really seen it and experienced it myself.
The staff here have taken notice, not only to the problems in our justice system, but to the problems in our educational system as well.
We need to do more, we need to do different, we need to do better by our kids. Not just talking about things, but looking for action steps that we can take to make things more equitable in our school community.
Students here at Eastview have taken action steps to show their support for the movement.
It really sparked for me to go out and actually protest and things like that, so I did go to the Capitol.
We held a kind of food drive for people who are affected by the protest.
I've donated to a lot of the protests, and I've been to a lot of the protests.
I led a protest in August with a couple of my peers.
As a student and as a person, it's important for you to be able to show your support in different ways.
Reading books on social disparities and watching movies and documentaries and overall just educating yourself.
Be there for the people that need support and to maybe donate if you have the money to.
Organizations like the NAACP have set up places where you can donate and help show your support in the fight for systemic change in the US. It's important that we as students and as people come together and fight for change. Signing off for The Flash, this is Godwin.
We're glad he's taking a deeper look into such an important topic.
With all this uncertainty going on around us, it's good to find ways to take a break from all the noise.
Well, what have you been doing in your spare time, Rain?
Well, besides watching The Flash once a week, I'd say I've been listening to some podcasts.
Well, Khaalid has found a student here at Eastview who's been making a podcast himself. Here's the story.
Here at Eastview, many students have talents that should be highlighted. We wanted to look at 3 brothers who chose to go on a creative venture together.
Okay, so the name of the podcast is Migiro Boys Podcast. Me and my brothers, Brayden and Jaden Migiro, made it just over quarantine as something like productive that we could do and something that we could make our friends laugh at whenever they're bored.
Even though they started their podcast back in quarantine, they didn't begin to upload videos to the YouTube channel until September 23rd, where they began to talk about a variety of topics.
There's no really set topic on any of the podcasts. We kind of just go with the flow. We kind of figure out what we're going to talk about as we go.
This isn't Elvin's first YouTube channel though. He's been making videos on his main channel for over 4 years. You can find new episodes of the podcast every week.
Make sure to check out the Migiro Boys Podcast on YouTube.
That's all the time we have for today, Eastview. Stay tuned for the credits.
That is the most powerful person in the world, and we see him like an obese turtle on his back, flailing in the hot sun, realizing his time is over.
If Democrats had won the White House and the Senate last night, the country as we know it would have ended. Not because Democrats have bad ideas, though they do.
You should check out the Twitter feed of the president's spawn, because it is like rantings in Cran by somebody having an LSD trip. These are claims that are just so wild. Forget Fox. They wouldn't even make Fox Business, where all sorts of facts go to die.
Others have since joined the vengeful mob. There's Chris Hayes jumping in, the Philly Inquirer, The Nation, the always delightful AOC, and who could forget this deranged crust nugget?